I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If it's 2022 and it's Seattle and it's snowing.
Oh. Are you bringing up my dark mistake, David?
Chase, do you know what day it is?
Well, we delayed recording until Tuesday. So as the crow flies, as the listener is listening to this, it is currently, while we record, January the 18th, 2022.
7:29 p.m., a Tuesday.
That is correct,
as we said.
Yeah.
But today's a special episode. You know why?
Okay, let me think. No. My answer is no. I don't know why.
Fair enough. I'd be really surprised if you knew why.
Okay.
But today is our first sequel episode, Chase.
Our first sequel episode?
Yeah. Today is Video Games Are Good For You Now, Part 2.
Oh my God, is it really?
Yeah. You want me to tell you why?
Yeah, I do.
An article from UC Davis. This article says that talking about flow and states of flow and how it's good for your mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. More evidence.
And and for people who are unfamiliar with flow, it is when you are doing a challenging act and your skills are meeting that challenging act in the perfect way. And you kind of like lose sense of time and self and kind of become one with what you're doing. It's kind of like being in the zone. But these people are saying that video games are obvious flow activities and play is the flow experience par excellence.
Ooh.
These people created a video game to elicit flow and study people's brains. And there's just this whole article is just about how essentially games are a low energy way to help your mental health.
Wow.
Because you can achieve flow from them if they are sufficiently challenging, your skills are sufficiently adequate enough to play them.
Yeah.
So once again, video games are good for you now. And they even go on to the end. And they say a hypothetical, maybe one day a clinician will be able to help prescribe a Food and Drug Administration approved video game to help bolster someone's resilience or help them fight off depression.
I get that. Whenever I'm really slamming my foot on that DDR mat and it's giving me the crunch that I crave.
I'm no longer depressed.
I cured it. That's what they say.
That's the sound of me crushing my depression.
The crunch of the mat, is me pushing the depression out of my body, never to return. No,
Man.
Sorry. I feel like I can joke because I do the depression thing.
Yeah.
But like if anybody didn't know that would sound like a pretty terrible joke. Sorry.
Yeah, for sure. We get it.
But really, pound that mat to get your feelings right.
Get your feels right. Play games. They are empirically good for you. Hades is a great example of getting in a flow state for a game. Yeah. My goodness, they know what they're doing.
So when you said a sequel to an episode, you did not mean like, we're covering Shadow Man 2. We're covering the sequel to our title of an episode one time.
Yes, the title, it's the sequel to the title of an episode of Video Games Are Good For You Now, which was the first pandemic episode.
Probably.
Way back in the day, my goodness.
Yeah, that was like episode 3 or 4.
Something like that. But yeah, this is the sequel. Welcome to your first sequel, Chase.
Wow. Yeah, I'm happy to be here. That's great information. And I'm gonna go slap the shit out of some depression with my feet on a DDR mat after this to get into the flow state.
I would pay some amount of money to see a video of myself playing DDR as a large child with flat feet who is also just very uncoordinated and just see what that looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I am also of the flat foot clan, and like I feel like I could rip on DDR a little bit. Listen, I wasn't one of the dudes who like at the arcade would like brace themselves with the back of the bar so my feet could move faster. But I feel like I could whip a few songs.
Apparently, eventually it just becomes an Irish jig once you get to the highest level of DDR.
It does have a little jigginess, doesn't it?
Yeah. So you're just in one place and it's just your feet.
You're sort of sauntering around.
Your feet motion, you have to stabilize your core and your upper body. So you gotta be jigging. So really, it's jig revolution.
Yeah,
more than anything else.
It rolls right off the tongue. I love jig revolution.
Jig is bad. I don't like jig.
Hi, hello. It is Video Game Podtimism. It is the Optimist video game variety show where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. Now on our every 2-week schedule, as you might have noticed.
Yeah.
Still here, but once less frequently a month. So, as a result, we have a lot of things that we like to speak about with the video games. I will say, luckily enough at the top, I have recently procured a puppy. And so my video
snacks.
game time, Snacks the puppy. I was so kindly pointed out that she is a pug. I was so kindly pointed out by in AJ Fileri that I could say that she is Pug Snacks, which I was really excited about.
Pug Snacks.
Her name is Snacks and she is a pug.
That's pretty good.
I got to get Caro Benito on this one. She's got to write me a bop. Just remix Pug Snacks or Bug Snacks.
Talking about bug snacks.
Bug Snacks. Pug Snacks. I thought you were doing like pub snacks.
No, man. Pug, like
Bug
you know,
Snacks.
the hit game on your top 7 of
That's
last
not my
year.
top 7 of last year. That's a good game, man.
That's a good game.
Do yourself a favor. Play some Pug Snacks.
Play some Pug Snacks. Hey, speaking of video games, hey, have you been playing those recently?
I have.
Could you tell me about which ones?
It's pretty much just been Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh, nice.
Pretty much exclusively.
Yeah.
This game is ruling me right now.
Yeah, it definitely does that.
Yeah, it's definitely very engaging.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very much has the Ubisoft open world game DNA to it.
Yeah.
But my goodness, I have never experienced a game that plays with color this amazingly well.
Yeah,
just
they do it really great.
exploring the game world is a total delight at every turn. Truly.
Yeah.
I haven't experienced this much joy just exploring a game world in quite some time. Some time. Just the change between going through a kind of dark, very verdant green, creepy forest and then just busting out into a field of those white grasses.
I know.
And it's just open and you can see the vistas and then you go into like a little spot that has a bunch of like multicolored like red and pink flowers and like the blue purple chrysanthemums all over the place. Just everything just leads you visually to keep going. That's the most striking thing about this game to me is the use of color and how it really just engages you in this very well made realistic world.
They definitely crushed the world design in that one. I think the reason that I myself sometimes get a little tired of the Ubisoft model games is because the map is not crafted as much as I want it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And like Breath of the Wild kind of turns that on its head, right? Where the world is crafted to the nth degree and they give you very little of the Ubisoft stuff of like, here's all the stuff on the map to do. But what I think people are realizing, or at least I've taken an appreciation of, is that you can still do the Ubisoft model of there's like a lot of shit to do here. You just also have to have the world that's like crafted so well.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't feel overwhelming because you're like, you know what, at a certain point, I really don't need to look at the map. I'm just going to go like wander out here and like that'll be fine. I can do that. I'll take whatever like camp along the way I need to.
Exactly.
And that'll be great. That'll do it for me.
If there's a bird chirping at me, I'm going to go follow it.
Yeah, follow the bird.
If there's a fox grunting at me, you can go follow it. Chase that guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very that's the most striking thing to me about the game. Like everything else is well done, right?
Yeah.
The combat is engaging. It's not like groundbreaking. It's just kind of what I feel like the next evolution of like an Assassin's Creed type of combat would be, where it's like counter-based, parry-based, sweet little upgrade tree, but really at the end of the day, not like super challenging, but still fun and weighty and engaging.
Yeah.
And the story is good. It's not super engaging to me, but it is interesting. It still keeps me interested and keeps me going to see the end of it. I definitely find myself doing a lot more of the side missions in this game before I go back into the main story, because it doesn't grip me like totally and completely, but everything else about the game is the world is the real star of the game for me right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
There. Like I said last time, I think that the main story picks up really well towards the end. The middle kind of like, it's fine. Like it's definitely the middle of the game.
Sure.
And there's like a couple of turning points that I do appreciate, like moments where Jin's character, the main character, like changes to a certain extent, and I like seeing those parts where it's like I can see how he's struggling with the things that he's struggling with, and then at certain points makes pretty concerted changes in how he's going about things.
Yeah.
Which is cool. I liked when that happened. And I think the end does that as well, where like it is pretty effective in its final moments.
Sure.
But yeah, the rest of it's like fine. It's not crazy. I felt like it was pretty well voice acted, which helps. Like,
the voice acting is great.
Yeah, like that.
Truly.
It helps push it along, even in the moments where like the story isn't necessarily super good right here. So yeah, I agree. The world The world owns in that game.
Yeah, I love just finding the little hidden spots and the beautiful things, and the camera pans out and you see the world. You're like, oh my God. I never take pictures in the in-game photo mode, but in this one, I do be taking some pics. Man, just got to do it sometimes.
Had to do it to him.
Had to do it to him one time. God. Anyways, anything else I want to say about this game? It does give me a little bit of that Ubisoft game madness, where I just feel like I need to check everything off the map.
Welcome to Ding Boy Central, my friend.
Which I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm not in control of my body anymore.
Yeah, you're a temporary member of the Ding Boy
I'm
Club.
temporary member. I'm an honorary member of the tribe right now.
Brought you into a meeting.
Because I'm refusing to move on to the next upper level of the game, like northern part of the island, before I unearth everything to be done on the bottom half of the island. And, sometimes it's just like, is this worth it? And then I come upon a field of flowers with a waterfall and mountains in the background. I'm just like, oh, yeah, no, this is worth it. This is worth it. But it takes a long time. It takes a long time.
It can be sort of weird because, like, I know I'm kind of about to contradict myself, but, like, it is hard sometimes for me to disengage the logistical part of my brain that wants to go check everything off the list with the part of my brain that, like, Breath of the Wild engages with, where I'm just sort of drawn along by whatever's in front of me. Because you're right, whenever you get to the vista, you're like, damn, this game looks really good. This is beautiful. This moment is really cool. I can kind of like read into what Jin is going through and what's happening and how he's, how this moment is landing for him. Yeah. And all that sort of stuff, which is great. And then I have to turn my brain back on to be like, okay, I need to set my next waypoint so I know where to go. Like that sort of stuff. It's very hard to transition between the two. And the game asks you to do that. And at a certain point, it's like half a podcast game, half not, where I'm going to put on a podcast for the moments where I'm going somewhere and then turn it off for the moments where I'm like taking a camp or doing a side mission or talking to someone.
Yeah. Yeah. There's like moments where you can be on autopilot and then just like get visually entertained. And then moments where it's just like, okay, I have to really kind of engage with this now. Like we're fighting, sneaking, like, because if you don't like try in the battles, like you'll get smoked. Yeah. You'll get smoked a little bit. So yeah, it is an interesting dichotomy with this game.
And I don't think that contrast is bad. Like that's not a criticism. Yeah. It's just sort of interesting to go back and forth between those two and like what affordances is the game giving you there? Like, is it good to have a moment to breathe after like a very impactful, cool vista? Because like if you're at the top of the mountain the whole time, it's not going to be good, right? Yeah. You have to have the moments where it's quiet and it's not that big of a deal and you're kind of just walking around. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's an interesting point because that does remind me of one of the things that I don't enjoy as much about the game, which are the random Mongol patrols that you can run into on the roads. Yeah. And I just kind of want to ride my horse and like enjoy the scenery and not like have to dodge arrows or feel like I have to go and save these villagers or anything like that. For that reason, like I'm in a kind of relaxation visual stimulation mode as opposed to I want to fight people mode, which I understand it's a game, right? Sure. And it's an invading force and it's realistic to have these trolls all around.
There will be Mongols,
There will be Mongols. But there's maybe just like a little bit too much Mongols. Like if those were just a little bit more rare, that would be awesome. But I found myself stumbling upon like 4 or 5 in a row the other day. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to fill out this piece of the map, guys. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, villagers.
Now you got to empathize with Jin, dude.
Now I got to empathize with Jin. I got to empathize with the villagers who I left behind to be brutally abused by the Mongols. And now I'm in a sticky moral dilemma now. Think about me. think about
Has anybody considered the hero?
The hero, not doing heroic things because I just want to vibe with my horse, Sora. Yeah. What did you name your horse? Was it Sora?
Nobu. Nobu.
That's a good one.
I remember because I remember Jin saying, "That's my Nobu," every so often, which I really like.
That's pretty good. But very entertaining game.
Yeah, it's very good. I never had too much of an issue with showing up to the Mongols because I upped the perk of like that first duel thing that you can do where you can like cut people down. And I was I upped it to the point where you can cut like 3 or 4 people down. Yeah. And like, I always wanted to chase that dragon.
You always loved that,
I want to roll up on 4 dudes and just dramatically hold my sword above my head until one of them charges me and then just slice through them like ribbons. I loved that part of the game.
That part's pretty good.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad you're having a good time with this game.
Mm-hmm.
I read a tweet the other day that sort of shook me to my core.
Oh.
Which was that somebody was saying, hey, the analog for video games to another medium is not movies, it's theater, which I thought was hilarious and totally apt. It's like made a lot of my considerations around video games like twisted a little bit. Because I feel like that's totally right. All the weird sort of like campiness that video games oftentimes works in, but maybe doesn't intend to, is so theatrical in the way that it's like presented. Like,
it's true.
Just totally ridiculous. And what made me think of this was the almost set design that Ghost of Tsushima has, where like it draws your eyes to certain places despite the landscape not actually being as big as it is, right? Like Tsushima is not very big. Like you could ride from the top to the bottom in not a long time. It's not a big island physically, but because of the sort of tricks that they do where when you pull out into a field, it looks gigantic, right? In a similar way that like theater has not very much space to work with. And so they kind of have to trick your eye to make it look bigger.
So you're saying that these are illusions?
Yes, no, totally. Like these are definitely illusions. They're playing tricks on your brain so that you can both cross a field in not that much time, but it still has the impact of looking huge when you roll up on it, which this game totally does. I love whenever you like find something just incredible. It always looks really cool.
It just explodes in front of your face when you find it, like this beautiful vista or field or lake or something. It's just like, oh my goodness.
Plus, you do get to see Jin's butt every now and then, which is pretty sweet.
It's a nice butt.
When he goes to think about his dad in the hot springs, you get to see his butt right before that happens.
Thinking about my dad in the hot springs.
Sweet. What else have you been playing, if anything?
Still, the next biggest thing I've been playing is Metroid Dread. Still making my way through that. Very fun, very different than Ghost of Tsushima. I'm starting to appreciate the Emmy sections a bit more. I'm still not a fan of the whole entire you can't kill this enemy trope in games.
Sure.
I don't like feeling like I have to run away from something, that there's like no real recourse to fight against it except for like a very fast twitch and hard to do counter.
Yeah.
Which I've gotten somewhat good at.
I don't think I did one of those. I think I never got it.
I did 2 in a row once. I felt pretty good about myself. Felt pretty good about myself
David.
That day.
Pro gamer, David.
Pro gamer. So yeah, but I love the traversal parts.
Yeah.
The Emmy parts feel a little bit like a slog to me sometimes, but I'm trying to find the fun in it, which I think is I just have to let go of my anxiety a little bit, because it's very anxiety inducing when I go into one of those Emmy pits and it's just at the little door there and like, get ready to run, motherfucker, because it's going to happen.
Hear their beeping and booping in there.
They're beeping and booping and they hear me. I'm like hiding on the ceiling in stealth mode, and then it also jumps onto the ceiling and finds me. I'm like, okay, did you know I was up here? Did you know, game?
Were you
just messing with me? Because I'm trying to hide. I'm trying to be sneaky. But no, you don't let me. Anyways, I digress. Still very enjoyable. The bosses are kind of hard. Some of these bosses are hard, but very rewarding when you beat them. And I beat the big like dinosaur dragon lizard thing.
The dude who's like chained up.
With the gooey belly button.
Crate? Is that his
Crate.
name?
Yeah, he had a gooey button.
Crade. Sorry.
Crade. That's it. That one took me a couple tries.
I think it's great. I loved the bosses in this game because it definitely does the thing where that a FromSoft game does, where once you beat the boss, you almost don't take damage. Like you've just got their shit down so like completely that it's like, yeah, I've got this guy.
It's like, I know your secrets.
Exactly. And like, I don't think a lot of the bosses ever like really functioned the same either, so each one is a little bit different, which I think is really fun. I had a good time with those bosses. Your first run is always just kind of a shit show where you're trying to figure out like what happens, but the rest of it I thought was super cool.
No, I'm really enjoyed the bosses as well. I think they're a highlight. The difference between this and a FromSoft game, though, is that my thumb is very tired after fighting one of these bosses, because I am just slamming the missile button to just do as much damage as I can when I have an opening. But very fun. Love the upgrades. Love the atmosphere.
Yeah, the vibe is great.
Very, very good game. Very good game. I'm definitely warming up to it more. I feel like Metroidvanias just in general, I have to like have a hot second with before I warm up to them, like get into their vibe. Because they're always very vibey.
It does take a second. Yeah.
And then the rest I've been playing, it's just kind of like stuff on and off. Like, what did I do? Played a little bit of Halo on and off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still doing that.
How's your experience with Halo going? I haven't been on there in a little while.
I'm still enjoying it. I mean, it's a good shooter.
Yeah, it
everybody.
Feels good to shoot. Yeah.
I know you don't get to dress up your Master Chief the way that you want to.
It's getting better though.
And I understand that is something that a lot of people find really important. Yeah. But it doesn't diminish the enjoyment for me personally. I still really quite enjoy it because for online multiplayer shooters, I'm really just looking for good feeling guns, competitive gameplay, and just a fun time with buds.
Sure.
Which is what I'm getting. I played a little bit of Rocket League. Still have such weird issues with my connections on Rocket League.
Oh no.
My internet for some reason doesn't like Rocket League. I don't know why. I looked up a tutorial and then I had to do like Hackerman stuff. I'm like, I can't. Had to like open up ports and I don't know what that means. Besides like talking about, who was it? MacArthur who opened up Japan for the US? Was that who it was? I forget.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to open up ports on my router. So maybe someone can help me, Chase Albee, one day. But
I can help you open your ports. The MacArthur reference just now really took me a second.
MacArthur.
Open the ports to Japan. Holy shit. Are we talking about the part in the world or the history of the world from Bill Wirtz where it's like the knock knock?
It's the United States. Open the country. Stop having it be closed, said the United States.
It's Matthew Perry. It's fucking Chandler, dude. That's it, Matthew Perry. Not MacArthur. He was the general in World War II.
Sure.
Anyways.
David, I wouldn't have known the difference if you had gotten that one right.
Mr. Thompson, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson.
Sure.
Anyways, what else did I play? Oh, I did one other new game.
Tell me.
I played First Class Trouble.
First Class Trouble?
Yeah.
What is this video game?
This is it was free on PS Plus recently.
Okay.
It is like a first-person Among Us game, essentially.
Yes, I feel like I saw previews of this. I didn't realize this was out.
Yeah, it was free on PlayStation Plus last month. That and Deep Rock Galactic were also free on there.
There's another game that was free on there that I'm playing.
Oh, I know. Do I know what you're talking about? We'll find out.
You'll know it when you hear it.
But yeah, I played First Class Trouble with Eric and EJ and Travis.
Cool.
And I got betrayed. I got betrayed by randos.
Yeah, sure.
Classic. I forget his name, but he said he was very high and he didn't know what to do. And apparently, if you're new to the game and you say something that is clearly a noob thing to say, people will take advantage of you and lie to you straight to your face about everything. He sent EJ out of an airlock right in front of me and was like, "Oh, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm sorry." And I believed him like a fool. Like a damn fool.
Yeah, it happens, man.
And then he suffocated me slowly.
That's incredible. So what did you think of this game? I when I saw it, I was a little bit like lukewarm on it. Mm-hmm. It didn't look incredible. So I'm interested to see kind of what your take on it was.
The UI was a little obtuse at first, but once you got it down, it made sense. It was kind of annoying because we were all in a party together, but then because the game is 6 players, but we only had 4, so we'd always have 2 randos.
Yeah.
So we would have to exit our voice chat and then go into the game and then
interesting.
Voice chat in there and then leave the game and then voice chat and open a voice chat in the lobby again, which is kind of annoying.
Yeah, that kind of sucks.
Maybe there's a way to do it and not have to do that, but we couldn't figure it out. The actual gameplay itself was pretty fun. There's 4 regular people and then 2 bad people, imposters, as you could say, or I think they call them synthoids in this one.
Sure.
And you just have to go around doing little mini puzzles, mini games together to get to the end. And of course, as if you're the bad guys, you can assassinate people, put them in the airlocks, choke them, anything like that, throw bottles at them and knock them over, push over your friends, things like that. Get like syringe needles and assassinate them with a poison. There's lots of different ways you can do it, but it was pretty interesting. It was pretty interesting. The controls are kind of weird. It didn't control great, but I didn't expect it to really. It's definitely a game that is, its draw is the social interaction between folks, which I thought was fun. The first game we played, Travis and some other kid were the bad people. And this like 10-year-old kid just came over to me. He's like, hey, you want to know something? Killed all your friends. I was just like, oh my God, what? And I go over to Travis, like, Trav, did you hear what this kid said? And Travis like holding one of the other bodies. I'm like, oh my God, it was true. It was true the whole time. And then they killed me and the game was over.
It's sort of hilarious to see how people in a very different age group like handle themselves online.
Yeah.
Like, what was the background to that kid getting to that moment where he's like, I'm going to go tell this fucker? Was it just that like you were the last one alive?
I was the last human alive.
It's so sadistic.
And he's just like, I'm going to go taunt this guy. Hey, all your friends are fucking dead and you suck at this game. And I tried to do something with him earlier, like do a mini
task,
game, task. And he just wouldn't say anything. And he like mumbled something and just left. I'm like, that was fucking weird. I was just like, I should have started yelling, he's sus. That's what they say nowadays, right?
Maybe like a year ago. Yeah. We're on it.
But yeah, it was fun. It was a fun game. People were generally chill.
Yeah.
I never am super stoked on talking with random people on the internet, but they were fine for the most part. So that was good to see.
It's easier to deal with people being like non-compliant and like bad teammates online because who cares in this game, right? Like when it's a shooter, it's like the pressure is really high to do good because your personal sort of like influence could help a lot or hinder a lot.
Sure.
Whereas like in a lot of these games, and Among Us being one of them, it's fun to win, but like it's almost more fun to have just ridiculous shit happen. And like that only happens if you've got like a bunch of kind of fuckers in a group together. Like
it leans into the internet.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like, I know you guys are going to be assholes, so just have fun. Have fun being assholes to each other.
Yeah, so it kind of leverages people's natural instinct to be an asshole on the internet, which is kind of fun. It's good.
It's kind of fun. Somewhat problematic when you think about it that way.
Sure.
But also fun.
In a way that's not awful. Of course, that does come with the caveat of like, you have to be personally responsible to not just be a total chud. Which I will say, the internet has a pretty shitty track record with that specific thing.
Sure does.
But yeah, I think these games are kind of fun. It is sort of fascinating to see this wave of games coming of like, hey, we saw how big Among Us was. Let us get a piece of that pie.
Did you play Mafia in undergrad? Then this game is for you.
Yeah, exactly. I was a big fan of the Battlestar Galactica board game, which had a similar mechanic.
I played that with you. That was fun.
Yes, it was very fun. It took like an hour to set up and like multiple hours to play. So not super easy to get somebody into it, but it did have the sort of sleeper agent Cylon stuff going on there, which was really cool.
That's always good. That's why you just got to play coup. It's so much easier to set up if you want that dynamic.
Yeah, that's cool. It's interesting. I think that like, I don't know. I don't want to say I miss the Among Us boat because I feel like just existing on the internet, you like got a certain amount of it anyway.
The boat's still in the harbor, baby. You can jump on.
Whenever. People are still playing. Yeah, no, that's totally true. But it's almost a bummer to me that Among Us got as big as it did because it's like whenever this kind of game comes out, everybody's just going to say like, oh, it's just chipping off Among Us. Yeah. When like, you know, that may be part of it, but like this game seems like its own thing too.
This trope of game existed far before Among Us did.
Yeah,
Coup,
and like
Avalon, One Night Ultimate Werewolf, all these games.
Yeah, and like it seems like it's mostly been a board game thing.
Yeah, it definitely
just hasn't really made the jump to video games, and I'm glad to see that jump happening. But I think for a game to really stand out with this kind of mechanic, it's going to have to be so different than Among Us. Like, because like I said, even I at the beginning of the segment, I was like, it's like Among Us. So like, it's a very natural instinct, I feel like, to compare these kind of games.
Or it just is Among Us, but VR. It's coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's play. I'm ready.
I don't have any VR headsets.
We'll get you one. We'll figure this out. I'll get you a Nintendo Labo and we'll hack that thing.
Ooh, baby. No, I'm going to use my Google Cardboard circa 2015.
Hell yeah, baby. Cool. What else are you playing?
I think that's all I've been playing of note.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Invite me in. Cast my spell.
In that brief, like 1 or 2 seconds of silence there, Chase had the hungriest look on his face. He was looking me all up and down, being like a reverse vampire. Instead of wanting to suck my blood, he wanted to fill my ears with the tales of his video games from the past 2 weeks.
I've never eaten a meal before, and I'm so hungry.
God. Okay. What have you been playing, Chase?
I've been playing some video games. I forgot to end the story that I started earlier.
Oh.
I realized this about halfway through your Ghost of Tsushima thing. No, it's fine. I got a puppy, therefore my game playing time has diminished a little bit because as people may know, a puppy is a terror machine for a little while.
Sure.
It's like the cutest thing of all time. And then other times it's like, hey, I think I'm going to go dig up poison somehow. Is that cool with you? No, that's fine. I'll bite your fingers instead. So like there is not a lot of time to just like chill. But as a result, that's probably curbed my game playing to about half of what it normally is. So I'm coming in pretty regular right now.
You're not playing games. Snacks is just playing you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. She's a demon from the hours of like 9 a.m. to 2. After that, she's pretty chill.
No.
But like
that's sleepy time.
9 a.m. 2 p.m.
Oh.
Nighttime, she's mostly chill.
I thought you were saying
like
9 p.m. to 2 a.m.
No, she's cool by the time the sun sets, which I am pretty grateful for. She'll wake up in the night and be like, dude, please, I gotta do a pee-pee. But that's like, she's a puppy. What are you gonna do? I can't be mad at that. Yeah.
Sure. When the sun's up, she's up, ready to go.
She's ready to roll. It is puppy playtime at 9 a.m. It is not work o'clock. Sorry, my friend. So I'm frantically trying to work, and we have a fishing rod toy that's it's all plush. I just dangle it next to her and she jumps up and tries to get it. She's adorable. Anyway, all that being said, I'm probably right on track with a normal amount of podcast video game playing going on here.
Cool.
So I have continued to play Ocarina of Time. I had brought that last week, and I honestly didn't expect to continue playing this game because I played it a bunch, and like it's kind of old. Like some of it doesn't hold up super well. I definitely talked about the things that I liked about it last time, but like, the jumping is kind of wonky. Sometimes Link will do shit that I do not want him to do. The input is slow. Like sometimes I'll be trying to hit something with an arrow and it is not easy to do. So that stuff is sort of challenging, but I've definitely found myself like playing it. And I think especially because of the Switch stuff, it's so easy to not fully exit the game and just be like, I'm going to do half of this temple.
Sure.
And then put it into rest mode and come back later, rather than, I think, default behavior where if you save and come back, I think you start at the beginning of the dungeon, which like for the larger ones, it's kind of hard to remember the context of like, what was I doing? Like what part was I at this point?
Yeah.
And so it's made so much easier by that and like save states and everything. So I don't know. I'm a huge fan of how they did that part of it. I am just through the like fire temple, which I think is the 5th one. It's after you turn into an adult. You do a couple of temples, and I think it's the second one as you're an adult. The game is still like it's really good. I think I stand by the idea last week that I had said that like I think Majora's Mask is treated a little bit better in hindsight. Like it has aged a little bit better, but the game is still really, really fun. Like I still find myself just like, I kind of want to play more Ocarina of Time. I also wanted to call out just how frightening the forest temple is after you turn into an adult. There's like the section around after you get the third what do they call it, the third fucking MacGuffin that you get when you're a kid.
Oh yeah.
And it's like time to go and do the like I'm gonna turn into an adult part of the game. They do such a good job with like the storytelling at that part where like you go back to Zelda's castle and like she flees from it with Sheik, or with her version of Sheik. I don't remember what the name of that Sheikah is, but her like guardian essentially.
Yeah.
And like Ganondorf like chases after them. I think he like rolls up to you too, and he's like,
"What's up, dipshit?" Like, did you see where those people went? And
I think Link is like, "I'm ready to fight." And he's like,
"That's funny,"
and shoots you with like a laser beam, and then just blows the shit out of Link, which I think is
it
a really
was like
good...
a laser beam, wasn't it?
Yeah, he shoots it out of his hand, and like I love that moment because it really hammers home like this dude is tougher than you right now. Like you are not in the state to beat him.
This is an adult man.
This is a big wizard that you're not going to beat as a tiny Kokiri boy.
Yeah.
And so like between that part and then going to the Temple of Time, playing the like very good Temple of Time song, and then actually like, exactly, yes. Like you can recall it. It's so easy, right? It's moody in that like church that they have there. It's so good.
It is definitely a mood.
Yeah.
Big mood.
And so when you actually like, pull the fucking sword out of the stone and like turn into an adult, from there until probably the end of the forest temple is really good because like we were talking about last week, the trip back into the castle courtyard is harrowing and terrifying because it is so dark and scary as you like re-enter this place that you've known for most of the game up until this point as like being the most idyllic part of the video game to a literal fucking like apocalyptic sort of scenario.
Totally. Yeah.
And then you're supposed to go back to Kokiri Village and go find Saria. I can't remember how you know that, but it's like, you should go to the forest or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go back to Kokiri Village and it's also fucked. Like there's monsters there and shit. And so it hammers you with that one. You go back to the the deeper part of the forest and get to the forest temple. And that place is just so scary. It's the temple where first off, the music is incredible. It's got this sort of like glitchy, circular and cyclical rhythm to it.
Yeah.
Where like things are kind of echoing and fading in, and it's got this like scary sample that it's using.
You're
going to
splice them in on this part of the pod?
I definitely am. And like, I think anybody who's played it will notice like, oh, I remember that one. Or if you haven't played it, that you'll probably be like, that sounds frightening to me. This is also the temple where there's like those hands that come down from the ceiling every now and then to try and grab you.
Hands.
So scary.
Definitely a trope in my nightmares.
Yeah, and the noise that one makes, it's like this kind of like right before it hits you. That's scary. It has the section where you will come into a room and it is like twisted. And so when you're running straight, the room is like curving and turning on its side while you're running down it. And there's moments where you can change the layout of that room to like make the next couple of layouts of rooms sort of turned. And so, and not to mention the boss of that one is like a Ganondorf impersonator. Like it's a ghost that you have to fight that like runs through paintings and fucks you up. And so like that whole temple, I think is just a way to like really drive home the contrast of, there were moments as a kid where this was scary, whereas as you're an adult, this is terrifying. Like this is a very scary place that you're in. Not to mention the combat difficulty kind of goes up a little bit. Yeah. To again hammer home that same point of like this world is dangerous. And like as much as you may have felt in control and competent as a kid, you were not. You have all these different tools at your disposal as an adult. You have this big fucking crazy sword of legend, and it's still hard and scary. I just think that's so well done to really push on this idea that like the world has become like so fucked after a certain amount of time. So yeah, I'm at the fire temple, which is like kind of more of the same. They easily could have just gone from the forest temple to the Ganondorf fight, I think. Right. But it's still fun. I'm still really enjoying myself. So like I said, sort of bizarre to be playing this game in 2022, but here we are. Just wanted to see how it held up. And I think the things that are holding up now are not the things that I was interested in before, right? Like the mechanics of it are aging less well as time goes on. The world design is aging less well as it goes on. It's still kind of effective, but like you kind of have to put your hindsight goggles on. But I think the stuff that's holding up really well is the tone that they're trying to commit to. And I think they do it. Yeah, the tone zone, man. I think they nailed it in this one, as I think most Zelda games do. Yeah. Let's see. The next game that I've been playing is a secret game.
A secret game?
That I can't tell you about yet. Oh. Well, I can tell you about it. I can't tell the listener. Or maybe you should announce. Or maybe we should announce that that's coming.
Okay, sure. Let's try it.
An announcement. Wee woo. We figured that being that we reference Metal Gear all the damn time, it would make sense to actually have a little playlist of Metal Gear games.
Yeah, recurring Metal Gear segments.
Yeah. So what we're going to do is play through, or at least this is my idea that I've been rolling with for a little while, is play through the mainline Metal Gear Solid games from start to finish. This does not include Metal Gear or Metal Gear 2 or whatever the ones on
Revenge
NES
of
were.
Snake or whatever.
Yeah, we're just going to start with Solid, so the one for the PlayStation 1, and then play through, I presume, 2, 3, 4. I know that those games are not easy to get a hold of
about 5?
In a lot of places. Yeah, we can do 5 too. I haven't played 5, shockingly enough.
Phantom Pain.
Yeah,
really good. Snake.
Finally, people have context on these jokes. So I suspect we will probably try to tell you far in advance that that's coming, in case anybody wants to play along and play Metal Gear Solid.
Interactive portion.
If they want to. I'm definitely interested to hear how this is holding up for people. Or just so you know that, like, you know, this section's coming, because I suspect when we do one of those episodes, it will mostly be about Metal Gear Solid. Like, these games are weighty and dense and like deserve a certain amount of time to be talked about.
They are very much a core fabric of video games.
Yes. And like, I won't spoil too much of this because I want to save it for the episode, but I've been playing Metal Gear Solid 1. That's the secret game. And like, it is so interesting playing these games because similar to Ocarina of Time, the things that I thought I liked about them are things that I'm not really noticing anymore. Like,
sure,
the stealth is really taking a backseat at this point. And all the stuff that they're doing with the story and like how it's presented and how the narrative is like told is so much more interesting to me, especially for games that came out at this point, you know, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so like that part of it is so cool. I'm loving the Hideo Kojima-ness of all the stuff in there. Like, it's just so immediately a game of his.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah.
This, after playing Death Stranding, where like that is pure unbridled Hideo Kojima. Like, playing Metal Gear Solid 1, you're like,
Kojima
this
Unchained.
Unpunished Kojima.
Unpunished. Good Kojima. Rewarded Kojima.
Yeah, exactly. It's just been such a treat. So I'm really excited to talk about these. I think we'll probably do some sort of, I don't know, Twitter blast of like, we're playing Metal Gear Solid. Talk
with
to
the
us.
Tweets.
I'm super excited about this one. I can't wait to talk about him. I'm the most excited, I think, to talk about Metal Gear Solid 2.
That was your game, man.
Definitely my game, but I've read some of the Wikipedias on it, and I was like, all of this shit was over my head. All the stuff that people are talking about like how it's like the first postmodern video game.
Whoa.
I absolutely over my head. I didn't catch any of that the first time in. And I was oftentimes like pretty scared while playing these games. And I'm excited to like understand why these games were frightening from a narrative perspective. God, I just can't fucking wait. And I think not to get ahead of myself, which I think I've already done, but like not to get too far ahead of myself. It seems like each one of these games is in conversation with the last couple, with maybe the kind of exception of Metal Gear Solid 1. It's like referencing shit that's happened in other games, but Metal Gear Solid 2 is in direct conversation with Metal Gear Solid 1.
Sure.
And like that shit is so interesting to me. So like, I think I'm just excited to play through these games with the lens that we've been looking at games for the past couple of years, rather than like, does it feel good to shoot as Snake? Like I probably was thinking when I was a child.
Sure. Yeah.
God, can't wait. Anyway, so yeah, that's both an announcement and a note that I'm playing Metal Gear Solid.
Hell yeah.
The next game that I've been playing, it is the mysterious PlayStation Plus video game. Persona 5 Strikers, David.
P5 Strikers.
Yes.
Nice.
I've had my eye on this game for a little while. For the people who don't know what this is, it is a kind of spin-off game of Persona 5, wherein the makers of Dynasty Warriors built a game, kind of maybe derisively called a Musou game. That's just sort of a genre at this point, but it's a description of a game where you fight hordes of dudes.
Oh, Dynasty Warriors.
Yes, Dynasty Warriors. Anyway, so I had my eye on this for a while because I was interested in it, and I heard it was pretty good, and I downloaded it. And I was shocked with how good this video game is.
Oh, shocked.
I was shocked.
It got good reviews.
It did get good reviews. And I thought maybe people were just like coming around on Musou games. Because I've liked these games for a little while.
You like that Gundam ones. You like the
love
Samurai
the
Warriors and the Dynasty Warriors. You liked it all.
Even, yeah. I think there's like a crossover too. Like
Warriors Orochi.
Yes, I even like those ones. I'm a big fan of turn your brain off and fight the dudes. Like that's definitely my shit. And so I was like excited, but this game is so much more than that. I was expecting it to be just fight dudes from one level to the next. You go out into some kind of bare bones UI and you just load into the next thing. This game is really Persona 5-ish. Like they have taken the visual layer of it, the structural layer of the game, the vibe of it, and just put a lot of that in this game. It is pretty much just the battles that function differently. And so you still have the kind of like day night, or just the like day cycle that Persona has where you're going from one day to the next. Each one of them is incredibly like independent, and the day, or not independent, but the days are sequential, right? right?
Yeah.
Like something is happening each day, and just sort of like wandering around with all the Phantom Thieves. It takes place after Persona 5, and so it is like a new story. It's not just like a rehash of the same thing. It's all very Persona-y. I was not expecting this. It's really well done for a company that is not, specifically the folks who made Persona. I know that like Atlas is on this, so it is some of them, but it seems like they took a lot of care to make sure that this game is in the Persona family.
Sure.
Like this feels much more like a Persona game than it does a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yeah. Okay, good.
And I think like it kind of feels a little bit closer to like the good parts of a Kingdom Hearts fight where like there are just a lot of dudes on screen and you're kind of just mowing them down at certain points. But like I've had, maybe 5-10 minutes of fighting in an hour and a half of Persona already. And like that's kind of my jam for Persona games. Like I don't need a lot of combat.
Yeah, you're there for the vibes and the relationships.
Yeah, I just want to go hang out at LeBlanc and like kick it with my friends and like just hang out in that space because man, it's so nice. So I'm thoroughly surprised by this game. I had such different expectations and it's like really exceeding them. I suspect if somebody were to come expecting Persona 5, it might be a little bit disappointing because if you were really into the combat, then like maybe it's not as good. But it feels a lot more like the transition between Yakuza and Yakuza Like a Dragon, where like one is turn-based and one is not. And I think this one does a really good job with the active combat. Like they've really translated a lot of stuff from the non-active combat from the base game to the active combat of this one. Like you still have to deal with like the weaknesses and strengths of certain like matchups of personas. You still do your like all out attacks and shit like that. They've just taken a lot of care to integrate like all those parts of the base game, but they've just made it active rather than a turn-based thing. I'm super glad that they made this game a story that takes place after the end of the fifth one. It would have been a bummer for the story to just be like a non sequitur and be like a whatever retelling of something, which is like an anime movie, yeah, or like the Dynasty Warriors for Gundam, right? It just retells the story, or like any of the Dragon Ball Z games, right? Like those never expand on the story. But this one is,
to be fair, Budokai 2 had like the alternate timelines of the stories. Where like, what if Frieza won, or like shit like that. So that was a thing. Give Budokai its time in the sun, Chase Albee.
Give Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 2 its time in the sun. Anyway, so I'm glad Persona is a new story. It would have been very easy to either retell the main story or just do like, we got transported to another dimension, but it's very much like things have happened and now we have to deal with this. Yeah. Which I really love. So I'm way into this right now. I'm totally shocked by it.
Oh yeah.
The final game that I've been playing this week is the game Racing Lagoon. David.
Racing Lagoon?
Racing Lagoon.
What is this?
Racing Lagoon is a Squaresoft game.
Squaresoft?
I think at the time it was Square Enix, in fact. Or no, sorry, it was Squaresoft at the time. This is a game that came out June 10th of 1999, David.
Oh my gosh, what is this deep cut you are bringing out? Oh, it's an anime racing game?
It is a self-described high-speed driving RPG.
High-speed driving RPG. It's like Panzer Dragoon, but Racing Lagoon.
The Lagoon is just like the place. It's definitely a racing game, not like you're riding a dragon and shooting people on rails.
I believe it.
So this game only was released in Japan.
Oh, wow.
But up until recently, that's been the case. But some fans have translated it to English. And so we can finally play it on your legally obtained emulation platform of choice.
Yes.
So I've been doing that. This game is so bizarre to play through because it is so squarely in a point in time of Square's history. Like this is when a bunch of games are coming out, right? Like Final Fantasy VII, I think, had already come out. I think Final Fantasy like 9 was about to come out, if not already out. This is when Parasite Eve was around, which I'm like super into. And so like a lot of it is very familiar. Like the menus are really familiar. The sound style is very familiar and shit like that. The like visual layer is, while incredibly unique, also reminds me a lot of those games, but I've never seen this game before because it hasn't come to the States. So I haven't played anything about it. And so because of that, it's this like really interesting scenario to play through because it's so familiar to everything that's come before, but it also came out, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Let's see. It is a racing game, obviously, but it is also definitely an RPG. And I don't know if I have played a game like this before. So often games or racing games are racing games first, right? Forza has a story, but that's really not what Forza is there for. Forza is there for the racing. Gran Turismo has not really any story. It's just a racing game. Project Gotham Racing, right? Like all of it is just racing. You get a little bit of it in Need for Speed sometimes, right? Like there was a bit of a story in Underground where you're kind of trying to make your way up in the underground racing scene. But that I think was it. That one, if you'll excuse the pun, was in the passenger seat of that game. The driving was the main character there.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas in this one, I think that is flipped.
That.
I was a little proud, thank you.
I saw your proud face.
I did the DreamWorks face, and you saw that I was excited about my comparison. However, this game flips that. It is I feel like an RPG first and a racing game second.
Sure.
And it's so interesting for that way because I was expecting to be like racing very quickly. And the game is like, no, we got some RPG to do.
You got to set your stats. You got to get the backstory.
It was mostly backstory, which like I'm so used to RPGs being either, usually fantasy and the final variety, or, something that's like maybe a little bit more science fiction or, maybe something that lives in between, but never a racing game. Like the game opens and you're like just some dude who shows up to a street race because his friend invited him. And like, they're like, okay, I guess we're going to do this. And he's like, all right, I don't know what these people are all on about. Like, this seems kind of dumb. I'll race, but like, it's fine. And you race, and I don't know if it's possible to win, but I came in last place in that race. And like the commentary afterwards was the dude's like, whoa, that was fucking cool. I got my ass kicked, but that was fun as hell. And the story sort of progresses from there where this character is like really into it. You get to name him. So I'm trying not to like drop a name, but you get to name him. And the way the story progresses is like, he's discovering an interest in racing. And of course it's like, it comes out very RPG, right? Like there's these long, like black screens of just like poetic prose of like, my heart was racing. The window was down. I was so hot. I had to get out of the car. Like that sort of stuff.
Sexual.
There was a little bit of sexual tension with the car. That was there. And so it's so much fun playing through this because I expect at the end of all of these dialogue options to go into a turn-based battle. But instead it goes into a fucking racing game. I'm like, oh hell yeah, I love that. Like that's cool. It's definitely a PlayStation 1 racing game. Like the draw distance is a little rough, so like it doesn't feel as good as like, your modern racing game, but like the vibes alone are enough. It's definitely got the like early 2000s drum and bass jungle beats style music. Yes,
we're back.
Absolutely.
We're back in the jungle.
It's the kind of like jazzy stuff that you found in like Gran Turismo for a little while where like, oh my God, they just got the soundtrack down. And so that alone is really fun. The way the game actually progresses is that at a certain point you come out open to like an open map, which you're not, it's very bizarre. You're not actually in your car at that moment. You're piloting it around like it's an RC car in a little miniature city. Weird. It's like way zoomed out. It's so bizarre. I'm like, you guys have the racing game. Just let me race. But anyway, the way that the game works is that you'll essentially have to go to these different like places in the city to go progress the story for whatever reason. And there are kind of random battles that will show up, which is essentially just some person on the street flashing their high beams at you, which means they want to race. And so the random battles will just kick you into a short little race where you race someone else.
Hey, hell yeah.
I love that. I love that being the method of like random encounters.
We're racing for pinks.
The way the game works is that if you win, you get to take a part from your opponent's car. Like,
I take the engine.
Yeah, like what am I supposed to do with that? And so you're kind of just like incrementally making your car a little bit better and it's a little bit better. Car? Pretty much. And like none of these are licensed cars. These aren't real cars because like it's just like a fucking RPG, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think they really wanted to contact like Mitsubishi or whatever to see if they could get their cars in there. They're just cars. And so I like that. And so it's really Cool. I'm loving this game.
Nice.
The racing is imperfect, and I think if it was really, really good, I would be like enamored with this game.
Mm-hmm.
But the racing is imperfect, and so that sometimes can be a little bit of a draw when you're like, I would just like to beat this race by now.
Sure. Just like, okay, with lap 3, and I feel like it should be done.
Yeah. Or like I've hit the wall every time I've done that turn. Like, how can I need to be doing better, but I just haven't really gotten it. And so like that part of it is a little bit frustrating, but like I'm just loving everything else about it.
Yeah.
And I, like I said, I think just the tie between the racing being the background and the RPG being the first thing, like it's just so cool.
It sounds almost like Golf Story.
Yes, no, it's a great comparison. Like taking a thing that was normally not an RPG and putting an RPG over it.
I want to play more RPGs like that. I don't need to be samurai anime sword boy every time. I could be something else. I could be just like a mailman. Make me a mailman RPG or like chef RPG.
Yeah, no, I think that comparison is totally true. And I also want to see games where kind of like exploration through RPG is the first part and then there's something else. Because I think it's like a really fun device. Like, again, with the comparison of video games or theater, this game feels like fucking theater. Like it's just ridiculous and campy, and the characters are so over the top. They're like, bodies look so strange. They're like just these sticks of legs.
I was looking at that gigantic torsos,
huge torsos. So like the visual style of it is so bizarre, but like it feels like theater in the way that it's so dramatic and almost not aware of how dramatic it's being in a way that's just a joy to experience. I'm super into this game right now.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's where I'm at with Racing Lagoon. It's not the easiest thing to play, but there is the fan translation is out there. Anyway, David, this will bring me all to my Podtimistic thing of the week. It is, and I think I've probably done this before, but it's Games Done Quick, David. They just had their winter event. Okay. And it is, for people who don't know, it is the speedrunning competition that happens twice yearly. God, I love these fucking speed runs, man. Can't get enough of these damn things.
They're pretty cool when someone is doing it real good. It's pretty damn impressive.
The specific one that I would like to call out is the blindfolded Sekiro run, where somebody beats Sekiro blindfolded in I think like 2 hours or something. It's disgusting how good people are.
Dude.
Yeah.
How? That's crazy.
Mitz I think is the name of the speedrunner.
Blindfolded.
They beat Sekiro in 2 hours and 35 seconds blindfolded.
So what are they relying on? Just like sound cues?
I think so. It's crazy. Like if you didn't see them, you would think that they're just playing Sekiro and crushing it. It is shocking to watch this. Anyway, that I feel like that sort of shit happens really often. GDQ, where like just something absolutely ridiculous has occurred, and somebody who is better at video games than I could ever be is playing video games, and so like I love that.
Yeah.
It's always such a joy to watch this stuff, and like listen. Gamers, I get it. We're all a little awkward and like weird in our own ways, and the speedrunning community is not an exception to that.
You getting on your gamer soapbox right now?
I get it, and like I think that there is just such an unabashed enthusiasm for games that it is incredibly infectious, despite somebody's ability to be on camera for 2 hours, right? Like some of these people are like, it's very scared of being on camera, and are very nervous, right? And rightfully so. Speedrunning is hard, let alone having to like host that. And so like I get why somebody would be scared of that, but it seems tough, but it's so charming to watch people who are just like so into this really specific part of video games do that, that like even the times where I'm like, man, this is a lot of dead air in this one, or somebody's really hosting this one super well. Not to shit on anybody. Like I said, I couldn't do this, so it's not like this is a criticism. It's just me as a viewer. But it all makes up for it when they're like screaming because they got like the world record on something, you know?
Sure.
Like, that sort of stuff happens, or somebody beats Sekiro blindfolded, right?
That's
like,
wild.
That's insane. So it's just such a joy. I love Sekiro, and I love GDQ.
So what game are you going to speedrun, Chase? I think you got to do one at this point, right?
I think I could feasibly do Metal Gear Solid. I played it or Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
I played it so many times as a kid, and like I don't I would obviously have to figure out whatever the fucking pro strats are, but I could probably figure that one out.
Clip through a wall, sure, get to Metal Gear Rex right at the beginning.
Yeah. So yeah, that's some Podtimistic thing of the week. David, is there anything fueling your sense of Podtimism this week?
Yes, there is.
What is it?
It is a YouTube channel.
Yes.
Called Arcades?
Yes. Hades, I think is
Arcades?
The easiest way to look that.
Yeah. He has a bunch of tutorials on how to use emulators and set them up on your computer or any other sort of device that you have.
Namely the Xbox.
Namely the Xbox Series S, which is a very great little emulation machine to then play your legally obtained video games on.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's very, very thorough. And can make anybody feel like a hacker man.
Yeah.
Because he's just, like I said, he's very thorough. He's very straightforward. Doesn't have like a lot of filler. He's not talking to you the whole time, like about, what he's eating for the day. He's not like trying to be a personality. He's just giving you the details and the facts.
Listen, before we get started, guys, I just wanted to remind you that we are sponsored by NordVPN. And also, if you could go ahead and hit that subscribe, like, and comment, that would be super appreciated. Anyway, on to our second sponsorship of the week.
Pretty much. He doesn't have that.
Like, no, my
dude's
into it. Yeah, I've also watched these videos. He's in it.
Yeah, this guy is passionate about emulation. And it definitely comes through in just the quantity and quality of videos that he makes. Yeah, so super, super useful. Great channel. If you're at all interested in emulating, go check him out. He will get you set up.
Definitely. It was not easy to get my Xbox Series X set up with RetroArch, and like that, he definitely made it a lot easier than it would have been for me just like struggling through reading documentation and shit like that. He does a great job of not making anything too basic or too like he at no point does he say like you should know how to do this, right? Like it's pretty much just like I'm going to show you from base step 1 to step 2 how this is actually going to work. And at points you might be like, I do know how to do this. I'm just going to skip through this part. But then you'll hit something where like, oh, I didn't know that. Like, I'm glad I saw that. I wouldn't have done that step. He's a great YouTube channel. Helped me set my shit up. So that's awesome.
He gives you the top strats and the top settings for everything. It's great.
Top strats and top hats, as we say.
I like that. It's fancy.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Top strats and top hats. He's just a fancy man with some top strat.
I guess
that's all it means.
Hey, I've got a top strat. Can we move on to our main thing?
Yeah.
I just scrolled down to the second page of my notes and they were completely blank, and I was so worried that I had just totally forgot to like write anything down.
You have 2 pages of notes for Crazy Taxi?
No, I have 1 page of notes for Crazy Taxi. By the way, hey, it's Good Games, the segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear and give them the light that they deserve, their moment in the sun.
Yeah.
And we're doing Crazy Taxi. I have 1 page of notes on Crazy Taxi, but I have 2 pages of notes total for this pod.
I have 1 heart full of love for video games and opinions about those games that are positive.
David, if I don't write them down, I won't say it. And then when I play the game again, I'm like, I had so many things to say about this. And I was like, fucking Mega Man Legends is cool when you get to shoot the dudes over there on the... None of it's going to come out right.
Weren't those good parts of the game when you shot the dudes over on the island?
They were. I just want to talk about how fucking transcendental Mega Man Legends is and was.
Oh, is this actually a Mega Man Legends segment now?
Guess what? I pulled the wool over your eyes. It's a surprise segment. We're talking Mega Man Legends again.
What is that? Is that on the Dreamcast?
That's on the PS1, baby.
PS1, so I can play that.
If you want to, you can play it. I don't know that I would recommend it.
You wouldn't recommend it?
It's kind of a tough game to get into.
Oh no.
I love it. I love that video game, but I would absolutely understand if somebody played it for the first time and they're like, this kind of stinks. I don't think I like this so much.
I mean, I feel like I need to play it just so I can understand you better.
Yeah.
It's a required reading on the Chase Albee syllabus.
It might be a peer into the dark beyond if you're like, what the fuck is this game? Why is this what he likes? Yeah, be careful what you're looking at because the ding boy might be looking back. Lurking in the dark. Come see the numbers go up, my friend. You'll love it.
My task right now is to convert you, and I will not stop until it is done.
There's a mission at the top right of my screen. It says convert David's 0 out of 1. I gotta get them all, David. Convert him to ding.
I felt legitimately scared when you said that.
Yeah, dude. That was a joke, but like somewhere in me was threatening.
Somewhere in there was threatening. And to see my own name listed on a
task list,
a task list for you in a game, frightening. Because I know you are relentless. You are relentless.
I gotta get that achievement. All Davids converted.
All Davids converted.
Or at least one David converted. That's got to be 10 gamer points.
What's my achievement? What's the name of my achievement? Is it a funny name or is it just like, hey, you got him?
I'll come up with the achievement by the end of the segment.
Okay.
I'll get that back to you.
All right, cool. Oh, now you have a new task.
Which is what will drive me to get there.
Names of achievements for converting David 0 out of 1.
If I sound like I'm phoning it in about halfway through this segment, that is why. I'm frantically working.
The background task is taking up more of the CPU at that time.
Scouring Rhyme Zone for things that rhyme with David that also makes sense.
Nothing rhymes with my name, just so you know.
It's true. Yeah, I already searched. Favid, Raven, and McDavid are the only things, and those aren't really words.
Nothing rhymes with David.
I don't think I knew this fact.
You know now. Can you name a single thing that actually no slant rhymes? Slant rhymes don't count. Actual rhymes with David. Nothing.
Chavid.
That ain't a word.
Hey, that's the word we've been using for our co-op games since like 1995. Hey, we're talking about Crazy Taxi.
Crazy Taxi
is what we're here to do because it really just kind of popped into my head, and I was like, I know you and I have both played Crazy Taxi.
I've played it in the arcade. I've played it on my home console. I have now played it on the iPad.
Many formats for the Crazy Taxi.
Yeah.
Before we get too far though, let me hit you with a few hot stats, David.
Hot stats.
So Crazy Taxi was released February of 1999 in the arcade and January of 2000 for the Dreamcast. I stopped recording the times because there were many, many releases of Crazy Taxi.
We don't need all of them. Arcade and home consoles. There we go. We got the big ones.
This was made by Hitmaker, which as far as I can tell is like mainly an arcade game developer.
Sure.
Which makes sense given the fact that this came out in the arcade first. They did a lot of other racing games. I think there was like a Daytona game that they had made.
Daytona.
So yeah, they're like a majority arcade developer, which we haven't had in a little while. I feel like we were on a streak for a little bit there of doing arcade games.
Sure.
But here we are back again. I do have a review from our friends at Joe Video of Crazy Taxi. I have taken Joe Video's original review, which is in French. I've put it into Google Translate and hot swapped it back and forth between languages, one after the other, to eventually arrive mangled and destroyed.
A hot swap for a hot stats.
Hot stats with hot swaps, baby.
What else is hot? Who knows?
You're going to find out in this review. This one it's a little bit wordy, but it feels like beat poetry. Sometimes Joe comes with like the really deep. Sometimes Joe comes with shit where it's like they're letting you hinge on every word. This one really jumps around and like it's evocative without necessarily saying something specific.
So is this like a Lawrence Ferlinghetti type of poem?
David, I'm not smart enough to know that reference.
That was my JRP.
Ooh,
poet.
Mine was Allen Ginsberg.
Mr. Berg.
He was a good poet. I liked Allen's work. Anyway, let me read you this review that I've destroyed to better understand get some deeper meaning behind this review.
Yeah.
Joe Video had to say, drinking is good, but since the game requires a lot of training to overcome many driving difficulties, such as slow vision and driving, the game is easier than it seems at first glance. Emergency driving has become a reality. Yeah, Al, that sounds pretty crap to me. Looks like BT ain't for me either. On the other hand, cartoons are dangerous from a hacking point of view. Therefore, the theme text is slightly distorted, which helps to fine-tune it. The muscles of the computer is not used in both players and is directly related to normal gamers in the short term. Unfortunately, this program does not work on your computer. 7.5 out of 10.
Excellent delivery, Chase.
Thank you.
Excellent delivery.
Thank you. I feel like it needed a little bit of spice on it for me to really kind of get what's going on.
When you said the therefore, I'm just like, that is a word that it's by itself in this poem. That is its own paragraph.
Therefore, period. Yeah.
Yeah. Therefore, semicolon or just colon.
My favorite part of this is the poet responding to Al. Like, it's a little bit aggressive there. Yeah, Al. That sounds pretty crap to me.
Weird Al? Is that Al?
I don't know. I have no idea who Al is.
Ginsberg?
Whoa, like direct call out to Mr. Ginsberg? I hope not, because I think Ginsberg is probably a better poet than fucking Joe Video. But
does your JRP back that up, Chase? For anybody who doesn't know, JRP is Junior Research Project.
I think fucking Alan was putting out some heaters, man. There was some pretty good shit in there.
Some good shit. Punished Alan.
Yeah, I liked his work. Anyway, that's what they said. David, can you explain to me what Joe
Video is? I don't even know if I could even do that at this point in time. What is Joe Video to the world or to us?
That is an answer that we can't explain in words at this point.
Only interpreted Donce.
Donce.
Yes.
We've invented something new. It's not dance anymore. It's DONCE. This is Donce, and you will bear witness.
This is Donce. That's definitely the name of our first album.
This is Donce, and then Donce Revolution.
It's an album of us dancing, and you just hear our flat feet stomping. It's like stomp, but it's actually just stomping.
Listen, both of us have incredibly flat feet. That is going to be a percussive experience.
I don't know if my knees could take that much stomping anymore at this point in my life. Like I have no shock absorbing powers in my feet. They just go straight into my bones and my joints.
I mean, I think that's part of the experience. The auditory experience is listening to the pain that we produce.
Hear the creaks and the cracks and the gravelly
the groans,
the
complaints.
Like, I'm going to take an ibuprofen after this.
I don't know how much longer I can do this, David. Somebody's going to take this out of context. That's not going to sound so good. Anyways, what's Crazy Taxi?
Crazy Taxi is an arcade-style driving game where you take the control of one of 4 taxi drivers.
Yep.
And you go around, I think it's San Francisco. Is that correct?
They never name it, and I think there's a lot of parts of it, but it looks the most like San Francisco.
Huge hills. Lots of, and to me, it's San Francisco, but some city. And you have to go pick up passengers and then drive them to their destinations. And you have a set amount of time to do this. And the goal is to get the highest score possible. So you pick up people, go drop them off, and based off of how well you drive or how quickly you get them there, there's a bunch of different shortcuts in the world. And if you crash into things, you get decreased fare afterwards. You get a certain score at the end of the game. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. And if you take too long to take someone somewhere, they'll jump out of your car and you won't get anything. And they'll say bad above your head. You'll feel bad about yourself.
Yeah, that's it. This game is very simple. Like on the face of it, it's not a very complex game.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I should be approaching this segment with a certain amount of irony because Crazy Taxi itself is it's almost a meme. Like it's almost a joke because it is so ridiculous. But I think I earnestly like this game quite a bit. I think Crazy Taxi is actually quite good.
It is the fast food of video games.
Yes. I can't do very much of it. I couldn't play Crazy Taxi for 4 hours.
Yeah, but it's fun in little bite-sized pieces every now and then, and you enjoy it. You enjoy it when you're playing it.
Yeah. Did you play this in the arcade before you played it on a console?
Ooh, that I cannot remember. I think so. I want to say I probably did play it in the arcade, probably at Country Club Lanes. Before I actually bought it for my home console. Yeah, I think that sounds right.
I'm pretty sure I had a similar trajectory because both you and I were hitting up arcades fairly regularly at that time.
Sure were.
Being the fucking superstars we were.
Living the goddamn life.
I think that's the case for me too. And this game definitely feels like it was designed to be an arcade game. The ticking clock that generally lasts you about 3-ish minutes feels like an arcade game. Yeah. The pace of the game is unhinged.
It is definitely unhinged.
In more ways than one, right? The game is shouting at you to play it to the backing beats of either The Offspring or Bad Religion, either one of them.
The music's pretty good.
Listen, I was way into this at the time. I'm sure some people would call out that The Offspring and Bad Religion are not the best bands, but I liked this soundtrack. I thought it fit the bill exactly for what this game was.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was stoked on it. I was pretty into that. But yeah, like the sort of like intro sequence that would just play on loop was incredibly fast. It was cutting between shots of taxis constantly.
Yep.
The game doesn't have gears for your taxi. It has go or reverse. Like
yeah. Yes or no, 0 or 1.
Yeah.
You're a taxi driver.
Like,
come on.
There is very little as far as acceleration goes. You essentially just go as fast as you can, which like seems silly and sounds ridiculous, but feels so good in the moment. Like you, at no point do you have to like worry about starting and stopping to pick somebody up. You just hit the gas and you're flying immediately.
You just go. Yeah, you're burning out. You're living the life.
And yeah, so pretty much everything about it is like, you should play this game and it's going to be very fast. We're going to pretty much be in Crazy Taxi Town all the time. Whereas like, you know, some other games will take their time getting you there. You know, something like Initial D, another racing game, kind of takes a second. You got to like look at some cutscenes to play through it if you want to.
This one throws you right in.
Crazy Taxi's ready to roll pretty much from
straight to
jump.
the wolves.
What did you like about Crazy Taxi? Let's gush about this game. Talk about what's good about it.
Love the art style. It's immediately recognizable. It stands out.
Yeah.
Things kind of just pop off the screen with Crazy Taxi. It has a very engaging rhythm and motion to the game itself. Just the way your car moves when it hits things, it kind of like jostles the screen, right? So it gets the most out of the little bit of graphics it has.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy that I can kind of just ram into cars and like big buses and just knock them over and just keep going.
No problem.
Be like, I have taxi powers. It's fine. It's pretty much these taxis are just the menace of the street and everyone else has just got to get out of the way. So that's fun. I do enjoy the time element of it. It almost reminds me of like a Tony Hawk game when they came out around the same time.
Yeah.
Whereas like, you know, you're just trying to hit as many, get the high score and do as best as you can after like learning the level over a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So I do like that aspect of, you know, just, you know, playing against yourself more than anything else. Yeah, I think that's everything that comes to my mind at first. Is there anything that jumps out to you?
Yeah. So first off, I totally, the comparison that jumped off the page to me was Tony Hawk. Like, it feels so similar in the, like, you've got not very much time to do a lot.
Yeah.
This one, it rewards you with more time. Like the better you do, like if you drop somebody off very quickly, you get a little bit of time boost.
Yeah,
but
and when you pick someone up, I think you get a little bit of time boost too, just baseline.
Yeah, and so like that part of it's a little bit different in comparison to Tony Hawk, where it's just like a fixed amount of time that you're playing. But it definitely feels like you're under the gun of the timer. And the point of it is to, just do like the most points. And so that's like incredibly satisfying. You can't do like tricks. You're not going to like do a kickflip with your taxi, but you do get points for doing like wild shit in this game. Whenever you like go off a jump, there's like a little bit of point ticker that goes up. And the implication being that the person who you're giving a ride to is tipping you for going off a jump, which is like an incredible implication in the game.
They're tipping you for like weaving in and out of traffic and like narrowly missing things. Just like, hold on. This would not make me tip somebody, but I like the unhinged universe that they live in. Yeah,
the world that they've built in Crazy Taxi is hilarious. It's as if everybody was just like an anarchist from the 90s who like really wants to get to KFC, which is a real place in this video game. Like the original version had like product placement in a way that felt not terrible. Like I feel like product placement so often is like it feels awful in video games because like I don't want to sell the Beats headphones. I don't want to have to do
looking
that.
at you, Beats. God.
Whereas like take me to KFC or like in this one, you know, they had like Tower Records and shit like that, which is incredible and hilarious.
Original.
Sacramento shouts out. Yeah, what's up? So like that part of it I thought was like it feels a little weird at first, but you're like, no, that feels authentic to the real world that somebody would want to go there. So I kind of liked that. You said in your version that you played on the iPad recently that it was just like chicken restaurant was the place that they
it was like
to.
chicken ranch or something like that. I don't remember. But there was no product placement in the iPad version. The most recent one that I played for this episode, which actually worked surprisingly well, to be honest.
Texas baked cluckers. is the name of the
Texas Baked Cluckers?
Yeah.
That's what it's called in Crazy Taxi?
No, that's just me spitballing, baby. That's where I'm at.
That's what it says in my game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or is that my achievement name?
No, it's not your achievement name. We're still working on that one. We're still working on that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, Texas Baked Cluckers. Is that what you said?
Yeah, Texas Baked Cluckers. I would love to repeat this joke because it was, as we both noticed, really good.
TBC.
When I said it, TBC, Truly Bright Crawlers.
Wow, you pulled that one out real quick.
It's because I call Truly Bright Crawlers TBCs. So
you eat a lot of Truly Bright Crawlers.
David, I fuck with Truly Bright Crawlers. That is the superior sweet to me.
Is this a Truly Bright Crawlers ad now?
I will not disclose whether or not this is an ad, but I will say that the delicious and tantalizing flavors of Truly Bright Crawlers will be second to none the moment you taste them, the moment you pop these delicious little worms in your mouth.
But have you ever had the world's greatest gummy bears? That's what they're called.
The world's greatest gummy bears?
The world's greatest or world's best gummy bears, but it's a brand of gummy bears, and they are delicious. You can find them at Ross.
Ross, the clothing store?
Ross has some random like homeware and food stuff
gummy bears
there too. They got like imported stuff from like France there. Maybe this is just the Santa Barbara Ross, but Ross got some shit, dude.
I was about to say, I think that might be like Ross in Santa Barbara. I don't think this is Ross.
No, it is Ross. Ross, as in Geller. Anyways.
Truly Bright Crawlers is a delicious snack. Wow, I don't even remember. I can't even trace back my steps to Crazy Taxi. Usually I can walk back there.
We were talking about the product placement.
The product placement, yeah. It feels authentic. It doesn't feel bad.
Yeah.
I loved the music inclusion here. It is sort of odd to have just two bands with 5 songs each. They have a lot of songs from both The Offspring and Bad Religion in here.
They just got the licensing agreement for the two.
I'm wondering if, they just like reached out to the band directly and they're like, yo, can we have like a bunch of your songs specifically? And both of them were like, yeah, we like that.
Works. They're punky.
It's fast. It gets you going. I like that. Yeah. So I'm gonna make a weird comparison here.
Sure.
This game reminds me a lot of Fortnite.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what a pull.
Definitely not in the mechanics, but like the visual style of it is so bright and poppy that it makes it feel kind of Fortnite-y.
Sure.
Not to mention the inclusion of music that is kind of popular is a part of both of these games.
Or just pop culture for Fortnite at this point.
Yeah, pretty much. Like Fortnite has a lot of shit, and like obviously Fortnite includes a lot of things that are not just like what's hot at this moment, but I'm sort of thinking about what it was like a couple of years ago when it first popped off, and like, dancing and shit like that was really big in it, and like the sort of dances that you would see on TikTok and shit like that, people were super, super into, and like the music that would kind of play behind you or anything like that was pretty popular.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a part of the game in the same way that like Crazy Taxi, while certainly not appealing to the broad base of appeal, is probably appealing to like kids and what is popular with kids at the time.
Sure.
And like kind of fast punky music was popular with a lot of kids at the time.
Yeah, punk Baditude was
Baditude,
big.
baby.
Baditude was big.
DreamWorks face as a genre, my man. So I like that. And it sort of colors my interpretation of Fortnite a little bit more rather than coloring my interpretation of Crazy Taxi, in that like I don't know, it's easy for me to get cynical sometimes about that sort of stuff, of like it feeling like a cash grab. And like certainly the parts of Fortnite where it's like, there's a person who invented this dance, you maybe should like run it by him, or like a person whose music you're using, you should probably get some licensing agreements.
Just took that as Sweet Carlton or the Turk dance.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that like originally they were just kind of lifting, which doesn't feel good. But I think that it is an indication more that like pop culture references that are happening in Fortnite are probably just like not for me, and like that is a good thing at this point, because I have mine, right? I have the thing that appealed to my pop culture sense already. It's right here.
Yeah.
And that like being bitter about that sort of stuff in Fortnite, which I don't think I was super hard on at any point, but like the temptation to do that, I think, is like kind of tempered by the idea of like, this is just not for me. I've already had this kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Haven't thought about it that way. Were you feeling bitter about Fortnite?
Not really. I think
it was just like old man on the front porch kind of vibe.
I think that is a temptation sometimes. Like the first time I see something in news reporting about some game that's coming out or whatever, I think there's sometimes a temptation to say like fucking kids or whatever. But like it's just such nonsense. It's always been such nonsense. This like, not like ageist, but like this view from people who are older that like things were different when I was younger is so nonsensical and has always been bullshit. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was ridiculous when I was younger that like anybody would say that about the stuff that was happening when we were younger. Mm-hmm. And like, it's just as ridiculous now, right? To say that like any part of any of these mediums has degraded, right? Like music isn't worse. Video games aren't worse. They're just different. Mm-hmm. And so like finding the parts of it that you do like rather than just like shitting on the popular thing is easily the better option there.
Totally. Yeah.
And like something that I think we probably do anyway, but like, you know, with something as big as a game like Fortnite or any like super popular thing that's more directed towards kids who are younger, it's easy to have an opinion on that.
Sure.
And I think it's probably easier to just not. Like, you don't need a fucking opinion on Fortnite. It can just exist out there.
Yeah.
Not to mention, it's an incredible video game. It's still a very good video game. Yeah.
I always had fun playing Fortnite. Like,
yeah. Yeah. Sorry, that was my get fucked old people rant. Including us, like including our age group.
We were in that blast radius for sure.
That's fine.
Blast me away, baby.
I'm always so frustrated at that take of like things are worse now. And like some things are, right? Like the climate's a lot worse than it was fucking 30 years ago, but like music fucking isn't and video games aren't.
The most popular stuff is always going to be about the same level of quality, in my opinion. There's always going to be like the really good stuff that you got to look for.
Yeah, no, exactly. Crazy Taxi was fine. It's a fine video game.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we love talking about it because we like talking about games that are a little bit weird or
crazy.
Or a little crazy, yeah. Nobody's gonna have weird opinions about fucking Chicory, you know? Like, if I told my dad about Chicory, he wouldn't be like, "Oh, I heard about those video games." Like, no, he'd just be like, "I guess that sounds cool. I don't know what the shit that is, dude."
Too esoteric for Ribalbi.
Way too esoteric. I like Crazy Taxi. I thought this game was good.
It's fun. I can't play long stints of it. I'll play one or two sessions, then I'm good. Yeah. Actually, it's surprisingly good for like an iPad game.
Well, yeah, the controls are not super complicated.
Aren't complicated. You just want to play a couple rounds and you're done. You don't want to stick around for a long time. I do think that there is a mystique lost with pretty much any arcade game when it is ported to a home console, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Like there is something special about sitting in that plastic cradle seat, adjusting it and not knowing how. Is the steering wheel's kind of sticky? Do I want to do manual? Do I want to do automatic? Crazy Taxi probably didn't even have that option, but that's still kind of where my mind goes.
It has, I remember this, it has the shifter. It has up and forward and backwards. So you
it's just drive and reverse as the shifter. That's
yes,
awesome. Exactly. That's great.
I know, it's kind of cool.
There is always something that is lost with that when you lose that physical component of the arcade cabinet, I think.
Yeah.
And for sure, the superior version is always going to be the arcade version for any arcade game. There's just something special about the physical portion of it that makes it different.
No, totally. Like, I think it's playing on a bunch of levels, right? Like the arcade games by nature of having to be in an arcade are scarce to the consumer. Yep. Unless you owned Crazy Taxi, the arcade game. Like it was hard to come by, which was a cool thing, right? You got there and you're like, oh, hell yeah. I'm going to play Crazy Taxi. I'm going to play Initial D. I'm going to play
because you never know what they're going to have in the arcade.
Sometimes they'll have a freshie. And you might have to.
Sometimes they got rid of the old one you loved and they got a new one there. Just like, what? No one consulted me. Excuse me.
I would have liked to have known if Silent Scope 1 was going to go away.
Who am I going to snipe now? These dinosaurs?
But yeah, no, totally. I think it is, the scarcity and the physical part of it is not there, so it's not quite as fun. But a lot of these games were so designed for an arcade, right? Like playing Crazy Taxi on a console is bizarre because it's like, I can just keep playing this. But the game is that's kind of it. Like I remember they added a few modes for like the home version, but it wasn't like levels upon levels. It was just more of the same.
Yeah.
And so like it is sort of odd to see them ported over directly like that because the model of being able to play as much as you want doesn't really work at home because you could play 20 games in a row and you'd be like, whoa, I think I might never want to play Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, it's like, I think I'm good. Good.
Unlike Donce Revolution, which
I'll stomp all day, baby.
I would stomp all day. That game was very home console enjoyable.
Was it DDR3? Was that the one that we played a lot of? Or was it DDR2?
I forget. I don't remember.
I don't think
it was not DDR1.
Yeah, it wasn't the original. It was what, 2 or 3? Gosh, I should go back and listen to those songs and just take me back down memory lane.
Butterfly, that was big. You've heard that song. For sure you've heard that song.
Sure. These sound so familiar. They're itching a part of my brain. It's like a siren calling me back. David, come stomp on me again. It's in my parents' garage somewhere.
Definitely still working, for sure. Yeah, goddamn. Maybe we should do a Dance Dance Revolution episode
I'm
while
okay
playing
with that.
Dance Dance Revolution.
Oh, God. I'd be so tired.
Yeah, I would have to edit out a lot of breathing.
We'd be taking a lot of breaks.
Yeah, no, that's a bad idea. The auditory experience of the crinkle of the DDR mat would not be
Also,
good.
would we still be drinking?
Hellish. Yeah, I would be vomiting halfway through.
A shot after every song. Just like the club. This is the COVID. This is the COVID club. You do a Dance Dance Revolution song, and you take a shot, and you go again. Here we go, baby.
We're trying to appeal to the kids, so we've made an episode in which we drank and played DDR. A very relevant reference.
While crying about COVID and how it lets us not go to our favorite place that we always would be found beforehand, the clubs.
The club.
The club. The Donce club. The Donce club.
Well, the people in the industry prefer Donce clones.
Oh, the Donce clones. I feel like I've said that before.
Really?
Donce clones? This is weird. I'm having weird deja vu right now. Donce clones is definitely resonating inside of my body. I don't know what's happening. I think we have to end the podcast now.
There's power in these runes.
There's power in these runes for sure.
Anyway, Crazy Taxi fun. That's the end of the segment.
Good game.
Good game.
Yeah.
Great. Oh, wait. Your achievement.
Donce clones?
The name of your achievement is David Donce Clontz, the Annihilator.
The Annihilator.
Semicolon Redux.
Ooh. David Donce Clontz, the Annihilator, semicolon Redux. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a great name for an achievement. It's definitely going to all fit on the screen.
Yeah, there's going to be no ellipses on that one, for sure.
Donce Clontz. I like Donce Clontz.
It's like a little German boy pronouncing it.
Donce Clontz.
I want to go to the Donce Clontz. Fasse.
We are on Twitter.
Yes.
At Podtimism.
Yep.
Tweet us. Maybe we'll be tweeting about our playthroughs of Metal Gear Solid. Who knows?
I certainly will want to, because I'm trying to blast that out.
Let us know your opinions if you play through with us, or if you're just playing through with us at all. We'd love to hear.
Or if you've ever played it before. I want to hear those opinions too.
Yeah, let's hear
anything.
All opinions are welcome. And all interaction is welcome.
That's true.
We have a Gmail account, podtimism@gmail.com.
Yes, that is it.
Gmail us, email us, whatever you feel.
It's Gmail.
It's Gmail. It's like email, but Google. Anyways, we're also on TikTok.
Yep.
We have some, it's like 3 videos on there, I think.
I haven't posted on there in so long.
That's fine.
We've spent more time talking about it than I have posting on TikTok.
Thank you, Scout Wilkinson, for the beautiful art. This art,
oh my God,
don't stop being beautiful.
It just keeps giving and giving.
Keeps on
I can't
giving.
believe
like
it.
Each one of those
Every
beautiful
time.
flowers. Each time I look at it, I see something new. It's gorgeous.
Previously, so we do episode art from time to time where we'll do like a cover of the game, but it'll say Video Game Podtimism. All my Spotify enjoyers out there will know that. My Apple Podheads might not, because they don't do that sometimes. Before Scout,
For Scout.
PS, pre-Scout.
Pre-Scout, okay.
In PS, I was always a little bit bummed out when I didn't make one of those, because then I would have to see our normal podcast art, and I was like, that kind of sucks. I don't want to have to see that. But now, whenever I'm like, I didn't have time to make a podcast art, Scout's fucking vision is the thing that's served to me on my phone.
Truly was a vision.
And every time I'm like, damn, that looks good. So thanks, Scout.
Yeah, thank you. If you would want to help us out, you can leave a review on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to us on Spotify, or follow us on Spotify, or whatever it is.
You can also rate us on Spotify.
Rate us on Spotify. And just stay up to date when we're releasing new episodes every other week. It's great.
It's every other week.
And also, if you have some other friends who enjoy games and enjoy gaming podcasts, maybe let them know about little old us, or maybe not.
Little old us.
Or maybe do.
Follow your heart.
Follow your heart. We're open. We're available.
We're open to it. Yeah.
Email us.
Our heart's open.
Our heart is open. It's not darkness inside.
No, absolutely not. It is not inner darkness in there. It's not
Kingdom Hearts is light and love.
Kingdom Hearts is light and love. Sounds like a weird book title, a self-help book title.
Kingdom Hearts, light and love. And I think that's it.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah,
I think
thank you for listening. And thank you for listening. We appreciate your time that you spend your time with us.
Yeah. We'll reiterate again the sort of like bumping folks listening to the show since the Goaty episode. Loved everybody's
the Goaty bump.
The Goaty bump, as they call it in the industry. Appreciate everybody tuning in for that one, and the folks who have stuck with us after that episode. I've been stoked to have people here. It's a joy to make this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Super, super grateful and super appreciative. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Chase, do you have any video game wisdom for the week?
What if I said no?
I mean, that could be your wisdom.
I've never said no on
Sometimes you're not wise.
Today's not that day.
Oh.
Today's not that day.
Okay, let's hear it.
Sometimes in life, you're going to be driving your car through the streets of 1999 Japan, and a racer will challenge you to a race off.
Yeah.
It's going to be tempting to race them.
Yeah.
And get a part from their car, especially if it's the engine, because that's an expensive part of the car. You just put it on the fucking roof of your car and you drive away.
Just drag it behind on a string, piece of rope.
Be intact by the time you get there. Anyway, it's going to be tempting to race them. And my advice, my gaming wisdom, fucking do it. You should race.
Are you telling people to engage in illegal street racing?
Only if it is 1999 and you are on the streets of Japan.
Okay.
If you're here and in modern day, don't, because street racing is stupid and you shouldn't do it. If you want to race, like, there's tracks for that. You can go pay to do that.
Don't be dumb.
Don't be dumb. Yeah. You can endanger somebody. That's stupid. However, if it's 1999 and you're in Japan and you're racing for pinks, race, dude.
Yeah.
There's only so much time you can do this for until it becomes modern day again.
It's true. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
If it's 2022 and it's Seattle and it's snowing.
Oh. Are you bringing up my dark mistake, David? Are you bringing up my big
and you look at it and you look at a big hill.
You say, I've got all-wheel drive.
I got all-wheel drive. I'm going to drive down this.
Yeah.
And you're honking at someone below you. They should probably get out of the way, right?
There's so much wisdom to be gained from that situation. I think one of the takeaways is yes, if somebody's honking at you, you should probably move. But I think definitely the bigger wisdom is like, there are hills that are too big for your CRV to go down.
Now, my question is, did our episode on SnowRunner give you a false sense of security on these snowy Seattle roads?
It shouldn't have. It was hard to drive in SnowRunner. If that was the origin of my overconfidence.
You're just like, I got this. I 100%ed SnowRunner. I'm good.
I sat in my car and gave the person in front of me a bit of a kiss as I came down that hill after my brakes stopped working.
Oh, so scary.
It was a little
So
frightening.
scary.
It was a little frightening, I will say. I did a bit of a fuck up. I did a fucky wucky. Every day I get to bear witness to my mistake. That car is parked outside of our house right now.
Oh,
and I
it's
get
still
to see
just out
the
there?
nice, just hanging out, still waiting for that insurance to come through so I can go fix it.
Brutal.
So to answer your original question, if it's modern day and in Seattle and someone from 1999 challenges you to a race and it's snowing, I would say don't. I would say probably don't.
Good call.
As was the lesson with modern day street racing and all, probably don't. But if you don't want to be like me, just take the easy route home. The main streets are plowed. Why are we taking the back streets? Those ones are snowy. I was just going up to pick up my fucking anti-anxiety meds. Lo and behold, go down a couple of big bombing hills. Going sledding.
That is the cruelest irony. Is that is why you were out.
We had not only this. Sorry for all those folks in the outro who like this to be a short part. We had just driven back from Los Angeles. I had driven like 1,800 miles from LA to Seattle, up nearly the entirety of the American West Coast. And then I drive to fucking Walgreens and put up a brick driving back.
You were tapped out. You were tapped out on driving.
I hit my limit, and so Jesus took the wheel and drove straight into the back of another car. Thanks, Jesus.
Thanks, Jesus. Hey, what matters is that you're safe.
What matters is that I'm safe and that we are also doing a Metal Gear Solid episode. That is a much better news than getting in a car accident.
Most definitely.
See you next time, Podtimists,
right.
where we might talk about Metal Gear, but I don't know. We'll tell you on Twitter if we do.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. All right. Well, sayonara, gamers. That's my new sign off.
Okay. Bye.